Is that you? Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jack Dearborn. This is the Town of Ware Zoning Board of Adjustments. It's the March 1st, 2022 meeting. It's 7:30. There is a case here this evening, and it's Highlands Farm and Forest Acquisitions owners. Tax map is, applicant is David Nault. And it's tax map 102, lot 31 and 32, Lakeview Drive, residential zone. It's requesting a variance to Article 3, 3.5, and Article 17 and 17.1.1. Applicants seeking a variance for each lot for construction of a single-family home. Okay. So that's the only business we have this evening as far as cases go. What I will explain is how we run the meeting. Each case will be taken up individually. We'll take the first case on the docket, and then I will ask the board if there's a motion to accept the application. The reason for that is making sure we have a reasonable compliance to our procedures, that we can have a case that's able to go forwards. We'll ask for a motion if we get a second, and then we require 3 votes to go forwards. I'll ask for discussion and vote, 3 votes as to go forwards. Once that's done, I'll ask the applicant to come up to the podium, state their name. I'll ask the board if they have any questions of the applicant before we go through the hearing. Once that's been taken care of, at that point, I'll ask the applicant to, in this case, read each one of the questions, the bolded part, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sequentially, and give the answer that's written. And the reason for this is people at home, people in the room that may not have an application before us, will not have a chance to see what we have before us. So that's what we ask for. We will hear all 5 points of hardship in respects to a variance. At that point, we'll move on, and we will ask if there's approving of butters, disapproving of butters, public at large, or the boards. Once that has been exhausted, I'll ask the applicant to come back up again and ask if the applicant wishes to rebut anything or add anything that he may have forgot, and then go through the process again. Approving of butters, disapproving of butters, public at large, or the boards. Once we're done that, everybody has 2 shots at it. At that point, I will close the public meeting, and then the board will deliberate on the case. And once we deliberate, the way it works is each question is taken up individually, ask for a motion, get a second, put conditions on should we deem conditions are required, and then move on to the actual further discussion, and then we actually vote. Once we vote on prong 1, we'll go to 2, 3, 4, 5. When we're done, in order for this article to pass, especially a variance, each one needs to get 3 votes, yes. Doesn't have to be the same 3 votes across the 5, but each one has to have 3 votes. If you don't get 3 votes, it's 1 strike, you're out. The variance fails. At that point, individuals have 30 days for rehearing to the board. If the board feels there's additional information that's valid and probably couldn't be presented originally at the meeting, we will consider the rehearing request. If the rehearing request is denied, you have a direct path to Superior Court to hear your case. With that, motion to accept first case.
Move to accept ZBA case 03-2022.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Just after reviewing the packages, they are the same case. It's for 2 lots, and the packages do look to be essentially identical. I'd like to recommend that we take the case as a whole and just note any distinctive attributes between the two properties as we go along, but essentially vote on them together.
I tend to agree.
Yes.
I'm good with that.
It's put together nicely, and it's pretty much identical.
Okay. Move to second. Let's make sure we get it right. They're both the same case, okay. Good. Okay, all those in favor? Mark?
Aye.
Yep.
Aye.
Joe? Jack, yes?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So, whoever wishes to present this evening, I know there's an agent authority given in here. Trustee certificate.
Yep,
So, state your name, please.
Dave Knoll. I'm here to present the case for the zoning board for a variance for lots 31 and 32 Lakeview Drive. Lot 31 is .7 acres and lot 32 is .99 acres.
Before you go any further, please, any questions of the applicants from the board? I did go up today
You don't.
and
Yeah,
drove
that
past the property, and the condition of the road, it is a private road?
Yes, that's correct.
Private road. I found it to be very wide, ditches were cleared, was significantly above the property, so there's adequate drainage. And albeit the surface was a little pockmarked, but that's normal in the middle of the winter. I've been out there in the summertime, they always keep in a good repair. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Okay, I'm gonna go through the variance requirements
If you would, where you read,
in bold.
let's see, we got it right here. Like you say lot 32,
Yep,
say lot 31 and 32 if you would.
okay, sounds
So,
good.
because it's a ditto, these are
Yep.
identical, looks like you just,
If I miss one, you flag me.
we'll try. Naomi will.
All right, we're seeking variance for construction of single-family homes on Lot 31 and Lot 32 on Lakeview Drive. Article number 1 under the variance will not be contrary to public interest. There are 17 house lots with homes on Lakeview Drive. 90% of these lots are 1-acre lots. Lot 31 and Lot 32 have not been developed at this point. This is a residential neighborhood that has existed for over 50 years, since it was created by Chester W. Colburn. Therefore, adding a home on Lot 31 or 32 will not conflict with the character of the neighborhood, threatening of the public health, safety, or welfare, or otherwise injure any public rights. Item number 2, please describe how the spirit of the ordinance is observed. Development of a single-family residence on these lots is contemplated within the spirit of the ordinance, designed to allow development under proper situations for non-conforming pre-existing lots. A home on Lot 31 and 32 would be built on a non-conforming residential lot, but would not negatively impact the comfort, peace, quiet, or enjoyment of the neighborhood, or cause significant disturbance or unreasonable annoyance to anyone in the area. It will not reduce property values, it is likely to enhance them. The development will be consistent with abutting lots. Item number 3, please describe how substantial justice is done. This lot is non-conforming because it was created prior to 1988, when zoning setbacks were created. The lot has been there since the 60s, and has not been developed. Lot 31 and 32 meets the setback requirements for non-conforming lots and will have state-approved septic system designs. There will be no harm to the general public as described herein. To not allow development on this lot would otherwise create a substantial injustice to the property owner by virtue of prohibiting development consistent with the neighborhood. And I have in my presence here for the board, and the chairman, both of the approvals of the septic systems on those lots.
Are these copies?
They are, you can have them.
Okay.
The town should have been CC'd on them as well.
I'm
but-
sure they are, but we're gonna, since you handed them to us, we're gonna give them to Mary, to Naomi, to, put as part of the package.
Okay, great. Okay, item number 4, describe how the values of surrounding properties are not diminished. This is a very nice residential neighborhood where all homes are average or above average value. Building a home consistent with those that already exist will not diminish the surrounding properties. With that in mind, these lots were purchased to assure that the appropriate construction would occur. The private road which serves both lots is owned by Michael Colburn, who has a vested interest in making sure there is no diminution to the neighborhood. And item number 5, literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship. This pre-existing lot does not meet the minimum lot area requirement set forth in Table 1-1. However, most lots in this private road are also non-conforming, because they are less than 2 acres. Inability to develop for that reason would be a hardship. I've got 2 other criteria here to meet under Article 5, 1 and 2. Under Article 1, 3.5 contemplates buildings for non-conforming lots. The creation of this residential lot predated the current minimum size requirements. The slopes and soils of this lot will not require accommodation, as state approvals for septic and well will be sought and are expected to be granted. The resulting construction of a single-family residence on this lot is consistent with the purpose of the ordinance and residential living in a rural residential area on private road. The conditions listed in 3.51, 3.52, and 3.53 will be met. And item number 2, the proposed use is consistent with the original design of the neighborhood as well as its development over the last 50 years. Single-family residence on 1-acre lots in this general make up the entire development, thereby making the proposal building on this lot reasonable. And that's the end of the 5 criteria.
Thank you.
Would you like me to be seated while you vote on those?
No, we got, give me just a second, please. Make sure I'm all set. Any questions from the board of the applicant?
I have one question.
Go ahead.
Kind of a little bit of a haunting thing for me. You're applying for this variance because the lot is undersized.
That's right.
Well, did you ever consider merging the 2 lots to one to make it a conforming lot?
We hadn't, only because they were pre-zoning lots.
I
So those
understand.
pre-zoning lots, they're pretty common down in that area. And the previous applicants have been here several times for lots of that size and gotten approval from the board.
Right.
So it would kind of, reduce the value of the lot combining those 2 lots so that you can only build 1 residential house on those lots. It'd be a hardship all over again.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, would you have a seat, please, if there's no other questions? Approving abutters wish to speak to this application. Disapproving abutters wish to speak to this application. Public at large, other boards, being none. Mr. Knoll, if you would like to rebut, did somebody raise their hand?
Approving or disapproving, you guys are all abutters.
Right. I have a request to the board
Yes.
that they have not met the
Yeah.
criteria. Okay, great. Okay, sorry about that.
So my name is Kevin Cahill. My wife Jill Colburn. We're the abutters on the backside of these 2 lots as shown on the site plan and also on the southeasterly border. What we're concerned about is that these 2 lots drain, first of all, they're affected by the wetland, which you see on the plan, does not show the wetland on the north bound. The whole north bound sits against a wetland, but it's not indicated on the plan. Both of those wetlands drain onto our property, okay? And the current grading, the natural grade of that property pitches towards our property also. We have become uniquely concerned because we've already seen drainage impacts just through the clearing of the property. The wetland has shown that divides the two pieces of property, doesn't exactly divide it, I think it's more on lot 32. That has been disturbed through the logging process. That has not been remediated in any way, there's no erosion control, and the flagging of that has not been reinstated. So if site work did commence, that could be further impact. So it's direct discharge is what we're concerned about. Existing site plan shows contours, but doesn't show what it's going to look like in the end. Where's that water going?
We're only here because it's a private road. If this was a Class 5 road, which is a town-maintained road, we wouldn't be here tonight. All that is taken up with the building permit, and so, I mean,
So you could not ask, prior to the variance, you could not ask the developer to provide you with a drainage schematic?
no, not typically, because it's basically, the whole reason we're here, the narrow position, why this variance is required, because it's building on a private road, period. It's a lot of record, and if it wasn't on a Class 5, you would still have your concern. If it was on a Class 5, you would still have your concern, and you have to take it up with the town.
Okay, so through the, so what agency would I go
I don't
to
know.
ensure that I don't get direct discharge? So for instance, just,
Kevin,
yeah,
We don't give legal advice here. What I'm trying to make a point is, we narrowly consider this from a standpoint of why are we here this evening? We're only here because it's not Article 17.1.1 says no building on private Class 5, Class 6 roads. That's why a variance is required. I can't answer that question.
okay. Well, okay. It's a tough one for me, because I'm sort of in a rock and a hard place, because you're gonna be approving these lots for a building permit, correct?
We are relaxing the Article 17.1.1, which says no. We are relaxing it as a variance, which is and the legal term they use is a safety valve. So we are allowing it on that road, period. Everything else is interesting but not relevant to the scope that we're responsible for here.
Okay,
That's a narrow point of the law, why we're here. Typically, these subdivisions will be done by the planning board, making sure the lots are compliant, because they can only give subdivisions for compliant lots. For the table, all 5 and 10 acres, depending on where you are in town. The issue is, this all happened before zoning. These are lots of record. So,
yeah, and I appreciate that, and I respect that. I mean, you know, it was my wife's grandfather who made these lots. It's just the development of the property having a negative impact to our property is where the concern is. And all the water that comes off of those two pieces of property currently run a half a mile through our property and then discharge into Lake Horace. So we have culverts for little roads we have that'll, could possibly be encumbered and then impact us there. Wetlands can spread, and now I have land I can't use because I have to come back to you because it's a wetland, or someone at
I'm
some
not
point.
insensitive to your concern.
Correct, I understand that. It's just, I just was hoping that, in reading our notification, it more or less states that there's a variance for a building permit.
Because no building permits are allowed on a private road.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here this evening.
Okay. But you can't give me advice on how
See,
I,
Naomi, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's a question of going forwards. I mean, I don't think I'd be appropriate and knowledgeable to tell you.
Okay.
Chairman, I have a question here, because I'm getting confused, and it's probably my own fault, and I apologize in advance. I'm going to read these in a cursory manner, and I try to get the feel of the case, and all the wording here has led me to believe that you're asking for a variance for a non-conforming lot. Nothing in
not-
this
wait a minute.
paperwork has mentioned anything about a private road. So, we have a situation,
1711.
let me finish. We have a situation where they're applying for a variance to develop a non-conforming lot. So even if we grant the variance to develop the non-conforming lot, we haven't spoken to the fact that it's on a private road. Nothing in this document shows me that.
The only non-compliance here is 1711 that says you can't build on a private road. We're not talking about the size of the lot, which is non-compliant to zoning.
Okay.
That's Article 14.1.
I'll ask you, Jack, if it's not where does one go when there's a water issue?
I don't know.
Because the state law doesn't allow you to divert water onto someone else's property.
That's the problem for the select board. I don't
But
know.
we never get to there. Right? It's class 6. I mean,
I'll
private roads.
just tell you,
I'm just asking.
I don't know, because I've never had to go worry about
But we
that.
all don't know.
Huh?
I said, then we all don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just telling you, the only reason we're here is for the 1711. If we do it on that, and somebody doesn't like our answer, it can be taken to court. And if the
Mr.
lawyer can
Chairman?
convince the judge, wait a minute, I'm speaking. Convince the judge we were wrong, they throw it out. They throw out a decision. So, I'm not in the business of giving advice. I mean, I can't do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I
I
understand,
personally
and
don't know.
and I do understand that the state does not allow direct discharge onto our property, then that would become a civil case. The only, I guess, caveat to that is to avoid it getting to there is for the developer, and possibly this isn't the board, possibly has to go to the select board, possibly has to go to the planning board, to somebody to, at least before making a decision of granting this non-conforming lot into compliance to build on, is that they come up with a way of keeping their water on their lot.
It's on a it's on a private road. That's why we're here. We're not here as a soils board or anything like that. I mean,
Okay, but that's just, as a, as the abutter, as a taxpayer, as somebody who's not, I'm not opposed to houses being built there,
I understand your point.
but they're gonna have foundations, they're gonna have foundation drains because they're sitting in a wetland, and that water has to daylight someplace on a non-conforming lot, and the only place for it to daylight is gonna be on my land. So, it's, I understand the legal aspects of this and how your hands are tied, but it doesn't really bring, I shouldn't have been asked to attend the meeting, because there's nothing I can do about the meeting. I mean, what would be the point of me even attending this meeting?
You provide your input to the board.
Okay.
We will consider it,
Okay,
move forwards.
I'd appreciate that.
We don't make this up. Talk to your state reps. And as far as the zoning goes, we only comply to the zoning and grant variances against the zoning. We don't write the zoning. That's the planning board. And even if it says that in there, I'm just being honest with you that we're only here for the road, on a private road. And if it was on a class 5 road, you'd have the same concern.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to do a rehearing request upon our decision, you have that right, if you don't like the way we decide.
But it would be pointless.
Well, it's the process, I'm sorry. I don't know what to say.
So well, I can ask a question, correct? So in a rehearing, we could possibly address this issue?
We would consider your request.
Yeah.
I'm just
It really is
saying,
just, it's rather simple, too. It's just, show me where the water's gonna go. That's
I think
it.
this is a blind, I think we're not adding any value to the conversation,
Okay,
and.
I'm all set. I agree with you.
I think the board members are free to vote the way they want, but everybody that comes before for a variance has some issue they think is important, and we don't make light of it. We hear it, and then we, as an independent board, charged to go and make these decisions, and we will, based on our understanding. So I'm not making light of your request, I'm just saying the process for a variance. Now, hypothetically, if you didn't like the way building inspector, land use coordinator makes a decision regarding zoning application to your lot or somebody else's lot, and you don't like it, you have a right to come before us as administrative decision.
Okay.
But, you know, I'm just saying, the narrow nature of this, we heard your concern, and
Yeah, I respect that. I'm good.
I'm not trying to direct the board how to vote either.
It's just trying to get a feel of the process, right? I mean, it's, hopefully this will be addressed. Hopefully the builders, the developers, whomever they are, we have a proxy here, are gonna take this into account and try to be a good neighbor and not impact us, right? But it'd be sure nice if somebody made it a condition somehow that that actually happens. Building inspector, I'm not so sure is the guy that's gonna be doing this, but thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Are there any other approving abutters wish to speak, or disapproving abutters?
I have a question because I've never been here before.
Come on up.
Go on up, sir.
Name, sir?
What I'm wondering is, after listening to
Name,
this.
sir?
Oh, Doc Harris.
Thank you.
What I'm wondering is, after listening to this, is if there's a way that you can pause this whole thing so that we can ask, like, questions to find out if we're, like, on track or, like, way out of track and it's something that we shouldn't even be dealing with. That's kind of where I am. I mean, I'm, you know, I don't want to waste people's time, and I understand all that, but you know, you hate to see things get started down a road and then problems are created when, if things were done differently to begin with, there wouldn't be any problems. But so that's what I'm trying to find out. But so I'm guessing that this is live and it's live and that's it.
We will find out. I'm not gonna say any more.
I'm not talking about what this gentleman was talking about.
What are you talking about? Because I was leaping to
Well,
conclusions.
let me
Maybe
just-
because you've,
All right, let me try this and see if I don't,
Okay, you need to help us out here.
okay.
are you in a butter?
Yes.
Okay.
Which lot, sir?
4054, top right-hand corner.
Okay. Okay, we'll start over. What's your concern, sir? Or are you an approving a butter or disapproving a butter?
So is it Marshall and Janet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's part of the situation. I'm just trying to get
Tell
information.
you what, why don't you go ahead and we'll figure out which one you are. Okay?
Because it's a lot of record. It's already a lot.
Okay, so, let's see. We went online and we looked up the ad that was for this property. So it was written as, bring your builder to make it your dream home a reality in fantastic wear. Located on picturesque Lakeview Drive, outstanding 0.83 acre. Wooded lot, it's dry level and has some awesome granite slabs for you. It's zoned residential, 238 road front, lot 32 or 31, they're the same thing. It says, in big print, says buyers to perform their own due diligence and verify information contained herein is true and correct. That mentions the town beach. So what I'm saying is, it says right in the ad that it's the non-conforming lot. And that the buyer is supposed to do due diligence. So the buyer, I went on, and I looked and it said, you know, you're supposed to have 2 acres for a lot.
Okay, yeah.
And,
If it's a lot of record prior to zoning,
yeah,
is, I don't know I don't know if the proper term is grandfathered, but it's a lot of record. There has not been any zoning, I should say, any subdivisions done since zoning that hasn't complied with the zoning package, table 140.
are you saying it has complied or hasn't complied?
They all have to comply.
They all have
And in my history here, I don't recall ever granting a variance for a subdivision. Because that's a use issue. And, I mean, if somebody owned, happens all the time on Lake Horace, quarter acre. That's a lot of record. They can build on it. Sometimes it's very challenging for the setbacks, which would be impossible, which they ask for a variance if they can practically get it in with septic and water. So it is a non-conforming lot. At least 2 things are non-conforming. One is it's on a private road, and one is it's a lot prior to zoning, less than the table in the zoning Article 14. So, you're right. And, by the way, I think they have an obligation to disclose that.
Right, well, that's kind of what I
Well,
was
the ad
thinking
is from a real
they
estate,
put the onus
it's
on
a
the
real
buyer,
estate.
So the buyer should have known that ahead of time. And that's why I was, well, what was mentioned at the beginning is if the 2 lots were together, then it's now conforming, plus it fits a little bit. They're not the only ones.
But different people could own the lots, they're separate lots on
Yeah.
their own.
And it would still have the challenge of being on a Class 6 road, which is what we're here for. That's the question before us is
I know.
private.
But then you've got the
private road.
So I
Thank you.
guess we're off a little bit. So basically, it's kind of guaranteed that once the lot is approved, and they're gonna be able to build on it, then the state will be able to figure out that no matter what the property is like, they
Once the
can
variance is approved,
control septic and all that.
once the variance is approved, you are correct. Okay, should it pass. There is already a letter, which we were handed here this evening, for both lots, that the Water Supply and Pollution Control in Concord, or DES, current term.
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite.
That's correct. Department of Environmental Services, they issue septic design approval. Both lots have been approved. We just got the letters here. Naomi's got them.
I see.
The gentleman gave it to us just before the case started.
Yeah, I think I saw him handed in.
Yeah, so as far as the state goes, whatever was sent from Art Siciliano, the septic designer, to the state has been approved.
And there's no question of setbacks. We're not here to
They're
see
compliant
anything
for
about
setbacks.
setbacks, it's already compliant, they're not asking for anything from the setbacks.
I see. Okay.
Do we
So
go?
I guess that answers what I'm trying to get
Thank you, sir.
straightened out. Oh, thank you, guys.
Sorry about the confusion. I thought you were carrying on.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
To Malcolm's point about the private road itself issue and the 5I, the conditions listed in 351, 352, and 353 here, that addresses the private road conditions that,
Let's go to that. Gotta go to
The private,
351.
yeah, 3.5.1, 2, and 3. Or is that the non-conforming lot?
Non-conforming lot
Okay,
can be interpreted as non-conforming on a Class 5 road,
okay.
okay? 1711 specifically says, 1711, no building permits, that's why we're here, for new homes shall be issued on any Class 6 or private road.
Oh, okay, yep, all right.
I mean, it's worth going over it again, I mean, I don't have a
Yes,
problem with that.
yeah.
yeah.
So it felt like to me, Malcolm, if I'm correct, that it is listed as 17.11 as a reason we're here, but you were feeling like the write-ups of each,
No,
you were all set?
Yeah.
right, no, just to clarify.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I read the application, I go through the wording, and I let the context of the wording take me where it wants to go. And a lot of this led me to believe that the variance was not for what we're here for.
Okay.
But it's clear, I found it. There are two non-conforming lots. They're perfectly valid. There's nothing
Okay.
wrong with a non-conforming lot. And we're here to grant or not grant a variance for it being on a private road.
Okay. That was
Okay.
my
Like I
take,
said,
so
that
I
was
just
my
wanted to
mistake.
clarify.
I
Okay,
apologize.
got it.
Okay, one more time. Any approving abutters who wish to speak again? Disapproving abutters wish to speak again, if they haven't already. Approving abutters, public at large and other boards, being none. At this point, I'm gonna shut down the public hearing on case 03-2022, and it is 8:07. So, motion for prong one on case 0322, please.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
A second.
This is, thank you. For lots 31 and 32.
Combined.
Okay, you okay with that?
Yes.
Good, thank you.
Before we move, do we want to make
For the
any
conditions.
conditions for the private road?
Yeah, I got it. Oh, you got it here?
Yeah,
I wrote it down
copy
here.
of it.
Okay, these are conditions we place on, in this case, make sure I got it right. Office, yeah, okay, fine. The following are minimum conditions and requirements for a variance approval of a residence on a private road, town of Ware, zoning ordinance 1711. Condition 1, the applicant shall be required to post the necessary signs at the transition of a private road in accordance with the town of Ware sign policy and be consistent with New Hampshire RSA 674-41, paragraph I, subparagraph D, for private roads, and the required sign wording shall be, this road has not been accepted by the town of Ware, or it consists of a private or a class 6 road, which the town has no duty to maintain. The town assumes no responsibility for the maintenance, including snow removal, or any liability resulting from the use of the street pursuant to RSA 674-41. And this is in case somebody drives up to your property, this new property, and somebody runs off the road. Or somebody who's a new school bus driver who drives the school bus, decides to transition on the road. They will see the sign and they can't, and nor will the post office deliver mail. On top of that, this is also to make sure if anybody gets in an accident, who was casually going to visit one of these properties, they have tacit notice that it's a private road, a class 6. Second condition, the applicant shall be required to complete a town-aware liability disclaimer and file the liability disclaimer with the Hillsborough County Registry of Deeds, and be consistent with the New Hampshire RSA 674-41, paragraph 1, subparagraph C, private roads. Why is this? Should somebody in the future choose to buy this house and then claim after they bought the house that they didn't know it was a private road of Class 6, and they can't demand town services. This protects the person selling the property and the people in the future buying the property. Number 3, condition 3, the applicant shall take the necessary actions to be in practical compliance with the town of Ware Planning Board subdivision regulation for driveway permit requirements and town of Ware zoning ordinance, Article 36. The town of Ware Public Works Director shall be the authority for implementing the practical implementation of these requirements/conditions. Even though it's a very nice access to those lots, we do want it to be compliant with some standards that we set for the town of Ware. I suspect it's gonna pass. Maybe there'll be some requirements, some crushed bank run to bring the surface up to the properties from the Class 5 roads. But that we leave to the building inspector, for the Public Works Director. And number 4, the applicant, because this doesn't have necessarily people's mailboxes on a Class 5 yet, they typically have a mailbox. We require that the applicant shall be required to take the necessary actions to comply with the E911 signage requirement for proper residence location identification to support emergency vehicles for life and safety purposes. These are the 4 conditions to place on for the case. Okay, we have, make sure we get out. This is for prong 1, correct? Yep. Okay.
Another motion,
Huh?
another motion with the,
Conditions? Sure. Well, we got 2 motions. Do you accept
Yeah.
the conditions? Do you accept
Yeah.
the second?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
For
Okay,
both lots, yep.
both lots?
Yep.
Thank you. Any other discussion regarding the stuff? Okay. With that, all those in favor? Mark?
Aye.
Bobby?
Aye.
Jack? Aye.
aye.
Malcolm? So that's 5-0. 2, please, prong 2.
Move to accept prong 2, Article 2.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this at all? I think the spirit of the ordinance is observed by the fact that residential zones and residential lots typically have residential homes on them. The only issue here is the quality of, the status of the road. And so it will have to conform to all the building and requirements going forward, so we're not giving any relief for that. So,
Yeah, I agree. This was intended for residential lot, you know.
anybody else?
I agree.
Who said that?
That was
Oh,
me, I agree.
Okay. Okay. All those in favor, Mark?
Aye.
Bobby?
Aye.
Jack? Aye.
Aye.
Malcolm? 5 cents. Okay. 3,
Move to accept prong 3.
thank you, sir. Second.
Second.
Any discussion on this one?
Substantial justice will be done by making this a residential lot on a road that has similar lots to it. If for what other purpose to have these lots than to build a house on them.
Any others? I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when out of the 17 lots, a supermajority has been built on already.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any others? All those in favor?
Aye.
Mark? Bobby?
Aye.
Jack? Aye. Mike?
Aye.
Malcolm? 5-0. 4, please.
Move to accept prong 4? Sorry.
Go ahead, whoever wants to do it.
Move to accept prong 4.
Thank you. Second?
A second.
Okay. I can't see how these compliant houses in a residential zone can diminish the values of a properties. We got no evidence before us, brought to us, no evaluations.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
And it's new construction.
Pardon me?
And it's new construction, so.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. No mother's conversation?
No.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Bobby?
Aye.
Jack, aye.
Aye.
Malcolm? And 5 is an entirety.
Move to accept prong 5 in its entirety.
Second that.
Thank you. Discussion. I certainly think I think it'll be an unnecessary hardship for these 2 lots, whereas if you request a variance owing no new circumstances, we can't come back again without some substantially different, doesn't mean they want to do it on a different date. So I think this be an unnecessary hardship for this not to pass. I also think this is a reasonable use, because it's compliant in the zone, and it'll be built to the existing building codes that are required. So,
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
okay.
Yep.
So, with that said, Mark?
Aye.
In favor? Bobby?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Jack, aye.
Aye.
Malcolm? 5-0. Article passes.
Can I see what you read earlier, so I can somehow take
The
a,
conditions.
Tell you what, you want me to send you a clean copy?
or you can just, I
Tomorrow
can
morning?
take a picture.
Oh, yeah. Let me just make one little note. Sure.
Does it have to say private road in that?
Yeah.
That's more copies.
Okay, yeah, I left mine at home.
Did you want to?
This will be D. D. Did I get them all?
Did you want to cover that at all?
Huh?
Did you want to cover that at all? Sometimes we talk about it. Probably not required, the process. No big deal.
We don't have a copy.
Yep.
I left my book at home, so
There you go.
I'll bring them next time. Alrighty. That's it for article, for case 303-2022. Moving on.
Thank the board for their consideration.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on. You're welcome. Have a good night.
Thanks, Joe. I could drop something.
Somebody dropped a letter there. At least an envelope. Well, I think that's it.
Do we have?
Motion to adjourn?
No.
Move to adjourn.
Those in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mike.